Truth is waiting here.
Okay, so we're down at the fourth paragraph. I am as spirit. I'm going to go to the word breath real quick because we covered it a little bit. B-R-E-A-T-H at Webster's. This is huge. Breath, B-R-E-A-T-H at Webster's. I am as spirit. Now everybody thinks they know what that is, but actually just look at number 6. Down there, number 6 at breath. What does it say?
Spirit.
Spirit. So the breath, your inspiration by breathing, inhaling air. You're a spiritual man. You're a spiritual woman. You're filled with the Spirit. When somebody says, Kurt, this is a spiritual war, but they're referring to religion, no, it's not. That's just a bunch of dummies agreeing to shit that never happened. But it is a spiritual war because it requires the breath. Living people breathe, and they only breathe in the present. They don't breathe in the past, and they don't breathe in the future. They only breathe in the present. So life exists in the present, and that's the only place that you can claim property. You can't claim property in the past, and you can't claim property in the future. Everything you do as a living supreme being, from fertilization to last breath, is in the present. Spirit, I'm clicking on spirit. Let's see what it says. Spirit, an animating or vital principle held to give life to physical organisms. So there it is. Without the breath, which is number 6, meaning spirit, the vital principle gives life, the breath itself. But look at number 2A says spirit is the Holy Spirit. I don't care what you call it. I don't care what you call it. Look at 2B says soul. Wow. So if there's no breath, there's no soul, according to Webster's. Does the birth certificated person have a soul?
No.
No, it doesn't have a breath. Does the decedent estate, does the afterbirth that's cut off from both mother and me, does it ever draw a breath?
Nope.
So it doesn't have spirit either. Go to 1 Corinthians 2:15, King James. Look at this. 1 Corinthians 2:15. But he that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged by no man. All it's saying here is if you're breathing, you're not to be judged by another man. Are they judging men in those courtrooms?
No.
No, they're judging corporations. They're judging agents that are working for corporate entities. They are not judging living beings.
Good evening.
You started with a bad attitude already.
You know, my favorite part of that, it was when you said, referring to the spiritual warfare and the religious take, was, that's just a bunch of dummies agreeing on shit that never happened. Every time you hear that, I laugh.
Yeah. You know, those guys, that stuff comes out, you know, it's just buried deep inside. And I have a lot of friends a lot of people I've known over the years, and I mean, they're pastors and things like that, and they're great people, but it's hard for me. It's hard for me now, especially at 65 years old. It's hard for me to even consider a grown man. And I'm not trying to, you know, sound horrible or anything, but a grown man believing in that kind of stuff. It really is hard. You know, the monster under the bed, you know, the boogeyman. It's all the same shit to me. Santa Claus. By the way, Ray, what color are Santa Claus's eyes?
Blue.
No, what difference does it make? He never existed. So that's
that was a trick question.
It was. I mean, that's like saying Jesus is black. Who gives a fuck? Are you kidding me? You know, Jesus didn't ever exist as a man. He only existed as the amnion. So yes, he could have been black, and he could have been white. Depends on whose amnion we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I want to do something before I forget. I posted something at the PMA, and I think I was just moving through words, and all of a sudden it dawned on me. So I'm going to go back real quick to the New World Order, or the Society of the Sojourner thread from August 17th. What's today? The 18th. So it was yesterday at, I don't know, 7:54 in the morning. And I put the word of the day up. If you guys can find your way there. And I was reading something. And all of a sudden it dawned on me. I mean, the judge is do you understand the charges, Jeremy? Do you understand the charges? And of course, everybody says, no, I overstand, which isn't really a word. People made that shit up years ago. I remember I was there when people made that up. Overstand. That's not even a word. I overstand. I'm sorry. You're a moron. Understand. So they get you to agree with something, but you're thinking it's an agreement. But yesterday morning, I realized what they were talking about. So I'm going to go back to my screen. And on my screen, I have the word conceive. I'm at Webster's at conceive. And remember, I before E, except after C. CONCEIVE, conceive. To become pregnant. To cause to begin, originate. To take into one's mind. To form a conception of, to imagine. But then number 3 hit me. To conceive is to apprehend by reason or imagination, and the hyperlink was understand. So when you claim to understand, which is one of the definitions of conceive, which is a form of conception. So I'm going to click on conception. The process of becoming pregnant involving fertilization or implantation or both. Of course, we know that they changed ultimately back in the late 1960s to make implantation conception to keep it separate from the origin of the species or creation, the moment of creation, which is fertilization. Because implantation conception is for the legal creation, the legal thing. The born alive, second coming, fetal maternal placenta, and to be more specific, the accretion, mom's portion of the placenta, which is the uterine wall, which is the conception. So this is so interesting to me when the judge is saying, do you understand the charge? Do you understand the charges? And then now you know that the word conceive means conception, and conceive means understand. So now I'm going to click on understand. And it says right here at number 2, no joke, number 2, it's like the second coming, the little shit. Number 2, to accept as fact or truth or regard as plausible without utter certainty. So now when a judge says, do you understand? And understand is your acceptance of a conception, an idea, an immaculate conception, a perfect idea. Immaculate means perfect. Idea is a conception. So a perfect idea is an immaculate conception. The immaculate conception is the mom's uterine wall, which did not require an act of sex or dad's sperm, which came out as a uterine sister. So it's from the same uterus, but it doesn't have the same father. An immaculate conception. Hell, it has no father. My mom created it herself. The point is, the judge says, do you understand the charge? Then you and then you start to realize, what is the word charge? If God forbid, my sister died or whatever, and she had a daughter, and in her will, she wanted me to take care of her daughter. Her daughter at that point would be a charge, would be under my charge. She would be my charge. So her child would end up being what's called a charge. So now all of a sudden, when you understand the charges or the charge, that is a child, which could be the uterine sister or the daughter, which is the maternal portion of the fetal maternal placenta. Do you understand the charge? Do you accept the charge? Do you accept that born alive child? Do you? I mean, think of all the different ways this could be interpreted if you know the biology. But the fact is if you just say yes, because you think you're there for a speeding ticket, you think you're there for a DUI, but you're there to accept the liability of a legal fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you accept the liability of the legal fiction, then the DUI becomes possible. Then the speeding ticket becomes possible. You see what happens? Once he gets you to accept the charge or understand the charge, now you've accepted the legal fiction, the conception, and once that is in play, you become the liable party for that. Remember alter ego. The court just disregards the corporation and holds you liable. Anyway, just thought I'd bring that up today.
Yeah, it says accept as fact or truth or regard as plausible without utter certainty. It's just even just the plausibility of the conception.
Not true. Doesn't even have to be true.
Yeah. You posted something else that is relative to that too. The Giordano Bruno, how he was persecuted and in prison for 8 years because he, with certainty, knew the truth of life in the celestial bodies, I would say, and he did not accept the fiction that prevailed during that certain time. So can you get into that? What was your motive behind sharing that?
What bug was up my ass? That was so amazing because ever since that brutal memoir class, I've been stuck. I mean, like pacing stuck with that memoir.
Are you still working on it, or what do you mean? You told me you're done.
You're never touching it again.
Oh, I know. I'm such a liar. Well, I'm going to tell you why I posted Bruno, because a word popped into my head when I was staring at the damn memoir. I'm staring at it because what if only one document does everything forever? What if I wrote something that was so powerful? Don't get me wrong, it is. It was almost that powerful from the very first inception. But I'm sitting here looking at it thinking, what if this is the last thing I ever write? Ever. Well, I'm going to tell you guys, since that class, I tweaked it 87 times.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. I mean, one word here, I switched around the sentence. I mean, basically, it's the same, with the exception of a couple new ideas. But the one idea, the one thing that I was integrity. Mm-hmm. That word is so big. Integrity is so big. And when I was, somehow Bruno came across my desk and I was reading about that, and there was that little video that came with it. And ultimately it was all about, he was basically fighting for integrity. That's what it said. He was killed because of his integrity. They put him to death because of his integrity, which is why I added the word integrity to that. So I'm going to go to integrity. And just see what it says. Because to me, it's all about being whole. WHOLE. That's it. That the way you extricate yourself from the legal fiction is to be whole. WHOLE. And so integrity says this, and I'm at Wikipedia first. I'm not at Webster's yet, but integrity at Wiki says it is the quality of being honest and having a consistent and uncompromising adherence to strong moral and ethical principles and values. In ethics, integrity is regarded as the honesty and truthfulness or earnestness of one's actions. Integrity can stand in opposition to hypocrisy. It regards internal consistency as virtue and suggests that people who hold apparently conflicting values should account for the discrepancy or alter those values. The word integrity evolved from the Latin adjective integer, meaning whole or complete. In this context, integrity is the inner sense of wholeness, derived from qualities such as honesty and consistency of character. One. You're one from fertilization to the last breath. So I'm going to say this, and damn it, don't hammer me. So what I did is I was looking at the second paragraph, and it reads, there was something there that was drawing me to fix this thing. Well, first let me go to integrity at Webster's real quick, just so not that Wiki didn't do enough. Integrity, Webster's. It says firm adherence to a code of especially moral or artistic values, incorruptibility. So the whole idea of maybe a corruption of blood and all that stuff, which is one of the worst possible scenarios for the we'll call it a constitutional republic, the corruption of blood. 2 says an unimpaired condition. What's that word? What does it say there?
Soundness.
Well, what's the name of the third book?
Of sound mind.
Oh my God. So integrity and of sound mind is a big deal. Number 3 says the quality or state of being complete or undivided, while the clamping and cutting the umbilical cord divides your kingdom. So the idea of integrity, well, so I had to put it in there. And so, but I didn't use the word integrity. I used the word integrate or integrated. So I'm going to integrate it. Integrated at Webster's. Integrate. Marked by the unified control of all aspects of production, from raw materials through distribution of finished products, characterized by integration and especially racial integration. Obviously, that would be the human race, which begins at fertilization. So you're integrated at legal definition. Composed to form a complete or coordinated entity, complete entity, specifically being a final and complete expression of an agreement that cannot be contradicted or modified by extrinsic evidence, like a cutting of the umbilical cord. Remember, what's the definition of federal?
Covenant between God and man.
Isn't that a covenant that cannot be contradicted? If you're thinking about God as the moment of creation, that covenant, I mean, as a biological entity that's ultimately generated or created at fertilization, that's an act of God. There's no alternative to that. I'm here today because of fertilization. It cannot be contradicted. Anyway, so let me just read the paragraph, because obviously integrate and is part of whole, being complete or whole, as well as the word integrity is built into it. Anyway, so this is what that paragraph now reads. It says, one's unique genesis, known scientifically as fertilization and religiously as creation, is the origin of the species, act of God, and faultless extraterritorial mare incognitum nativity, a perfect, quintessential, personal, private ark membership configuration, progressing without sunder, alpha to omega, wholly in accordance with nature's integrated evolutionary due process. Now, integrated evolutionary due process. Done. By the way, just so you guys know, I haven't been hiding this from anybody. Again, if you go to the Sojourner site, if you go to the Sojourner site right now and go up to where the last place I put the memoir, which is, what's the post? It was
Are you talking about the Telegram?
August 13th. August 13th at 9:02 a.m. August 13th, 9:02 a.m. A memoir alone. You can see the date on it.
Mm-hmm.
Most people most people don't even look at this stuff. Click on it. See what it says. It's up to date. It has every change I've ever made.
So this file, this one, it updates with your changes? Or
No, I go back and change it every single time. I don't leave anybody out. If you're into PMA, it's up to you to fucking do this. It's not my job to keep telling everybody, oh, by the way, I'm your leader.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. Everybody's a monarch. Everybody's on their own. It's not my job. But it's here. It's right here. It's been there since this morning when I finished it again.
And so if you were to update it after this call, this file right here would update again? The same.
I would go back in there and it'd have a different date on it right now. I mean, look at it. It doesn't even make sense because it says 8/18, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, because I opened it that morning and I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
Well, this one says a memoir alone, 8/18/2026. It was done today.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I'm not going to keep depositing new memoirs. It'll confuse people. It's right here.
I'm going to pin it.
Yeah. Okay. Look at you, Mr. Brainiac. Yeah. Pin it. I you know what? I just want people to do some work. It really is. I mean, I learn something new every day. Somebody says, well, can I write my own memoir? Of course you can. Write whatever you want. I'm updating this one, but I look at this thing and it's a work of art. Anyway, so that's, I just wanted to get that stuff out of the way.
So you took Noah out.
I took Noah out because I prefer the simplicity of the ark.
Mm-hmm. You said, was it personal?
Yeah. Notice every single paragraph now says personal / private. Every single paragraph has personal, private. Why?
Yeah.
Because at no point does any of my kingdom ever enter the public ever. So I'm just going to be really clear. Okay, on to other things. So Debbie and I, what is today? Today's last week, Thursday-ish, I think, or Wednesday. I'm not sure. We went and saw the Odyssey.
Cool.
And it's a really good movie. But the neat thing about it is, I mean, when you see that Trojan horse and you realize all the damage, and I mean, you realize that the fetal maternal placenta is a Trojan horse. The maternal horse, the biogeographic island territory, the mom's horse, is how they get it into the country. That's how they're undermining the government, with a Trojan horse. And the Greeks don't want no freaks, says the Eagles. It's a great movie, especially if you know what you're looking at. I mean, I'm long past just looking at movies, looking for information. Now I can enjoy them again because I'm long past all that stuff. But it is a great movie. Matt Damon's a great actor, and
I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything, but I mean, it's just so well done.
Okay.
And we're basically, I look at those of us that understand this or learning this material as sort of like Odysseus. We're the ones that are learning that basically you can't go along with the crowd. You can't go along with the masses because they're wrong. I mean, seriously. And I mean, here he was defending he was fighting wars to defend the position of we'll say the Greeks or whatever. But then he finds out that it maybe you can't, what you're doing is wrong. And you can't participate, you know? So that's kind of the whole idea with me. I'm always thinking at what point? I mean, is there at any point is to compromise the truth ever the right thing to do? I mean, what's the cost of compromising the truth? To me, from fertilization to last breath is very simple once you learn it. And then you realize, so why wouldn't I go with that? Why do I want to do something goofy? Why do I want to make something up? Why do I want to admit to their fiction? It's because I want to get something. My motive is tainted. Once my motive is tainted, all bets are off, or all bets are on, because there are no bets in nature. It just is what it is, you know? So I think what we're doing is really easy. And I honestly, you guys are, when you read that redo on the memoir, it's going to, I can't even say I'm not going to touch it anymore, but unless I wake up with another bug up my ass and I have to add something or fix something I broke. But yeah, go see The Odyssey. It's a pretty cool movie.
I think I might tomorrow.
Do it. It's worth it, especially with your brain, with what you know.
Yeah, but I can't enjoy movies like you. I'm gonna be there with a notepad and like writing in the dark.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty long movie. It's like almost 3 hours long, but you'll still be entertained no matter what. You'll still you'll get it. So
I was watching it. Oh, you got something?
No, I'm done. Good night, everybody.
Well, okay. First thing is, you brought up the word integer from integrity before you went to integrate.
Right.
And I used that word specifically the other day because when I was making all those videos on a memoir, I really wanted to cover I am as spirit. I am as spirit. Those three, those three principles and the foundation of those last three paragraphs. And in the audio that I clipped from the class, you said something along the lines of, Ray, what if I had 99 pennies? Is that $1? No, right. It's not $1. It's not whole. And so when I was going through the words of one, I ended up on, because it says the first whole number above 0. And it took me back to my 4th, 5th grade math class where an integer is only a whole number. So fractions are not integers. And the first integer above 0 is 1. I just think it's pretty cool how like all this stuff circles back onto itself. And I kind of feel some sort of psychic connection with you right now, Kurt, that we I don't know, maybe it's because we were talking so much.
Well, it's interesting because what was the movie?
Identity.
He was an IRS agent and he fell for a girl that baked cookies.
I don't know.
He found himself. He was a fictional character in a book in somebody else's story. Stranger Than Fiction.
Oh yes.
and he was an IRS agent. What's funny though is he said his favorite number is an integer. It's just funny because he actually said it in a movie. But it's a great movie because he's the character in somebody else's story, but he's a real person. So as she writes the story, something happens to him. But I mean, got to watch that movie. I'm shocked that you haven't seen it. Stranger Than Fiction. Watch it. Anyway, back to natural numbers. This is I did this years ago. I had to look at it because of the idea of the first whole numbers and all that stuff. It says natural number. The terms positive, I'm at Wikipedia, by the way. It says in mathematics, the natural numbers are the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, possibly excluding 0, is what it says for natural. I don't know how 0 can be a number because there's no quantity. If something's not there, is it a quantity of 0 or nothing at all? I struggle with somebody saying we have a quantity of 0. No, you don't. We have 0 apples. Well, that means you have 0 battleships. Do you see the implication?
Yeah.
If I say I have 0 apples, it also means I have 0 jet fighters. No, Kurt, we're talking about apples. No, we're not. We're talking about nothing.
Yeah.
A 0 quantity of anything is a 0 quantity of anything, of everything. So 0 apples is exactly the same thing as 0 people. No, it's not. You're talking about people. No, I'm not. I'm talking about nothing. Can you already hear people arguing with me about this?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm getting at, though? So anyway, it says in mathematics, natural numbers are the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, possibly excluding 0. I think it should exclude 0 because it's not a number. It's not a quantity. To me, a number is a quantity of something. Also, it says natural numbers are 0, 1, 2. Anyway, it goes on to say the terms positive integers, non-negative integers, whole numbers, and counting numbers are also used. So all of those things equal natural number. The set of the natural numbers is commonly denoted by the bold N or the blackboard. Weird looking N. It says natural numbers are used for counting. And for labeling the result of a count. Such as there are 7 days in a week, in which case they are called cardinal numbers. Cardinal numbers. Oh, well, let's look at that. That's interesting. It says they are also used to label places in an ordered series, such as the 3rd day of the month, in which case they're called ordinal. Ordinal is for ordered series, ordinal numbers. So let's see what cardinal number says first. This is pretty interesting stuff, really. It says in mathematics, a cardinal number, or cardinal for short, is a kind of number that measures the cardinality of a set, i.e., how many elements there are in a set. Now, I'm at Wikipedia, so you can follow along if you're looking. The cardinal number associated with set A is generally denoted by an A between 2 bars, with a vertical bar on each side, though it may also be denoted by a card, and then in parentheses, or a number sign A. Here's what's weird about this. Cardinality is defined in terms of bijective functions. 2 sets have the same cardinality if and only if. This is really cool. If you actually put your cursor over if and only if, what comes up?
Is that the Vesica Pisces?
Yeah, but look what it is. With that, look, see where those 2 circles intersect?
Yeah.
There it is right there. They're actually showing you the Jesus fish. They're saying, and look at the word. It's cardinal. So it says there is a 1-to-1 correspondence bijection between the elements of the two sets. The cardinality of a finite set can be identified with a natural number which can be found simply by counting its elements. The behavior of the cardinalities of infinite sets is more complex. What I'm getting at is, isn't it weird that when you click, it says the two sets have the same cardinality if and only if, and then you put your cursor over that and it shows the intersection of two bodies with the intersecting areas.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm going to go to, I mean, what if you really, really dig into this, it's going to almost creep you out what they've done as far as, I mean, when you even think of genetic or biology. So that's cardinal. I need to look, where's ordinal? I have to go to ordinal now. I'll just back out of this one. Ordinal. There, ordinal. So it says they are also used to label places. Natural numbers are used to label places, like this, where they fit in to an ordered series, such as the third day of the month. So if there's 30 days, it's the third position out of the 30. See that? How weird that is? In which case they're called ordinal numbers. So I'm going to click on ordinal numbers. In set theory, an ordinal number or ordinal is a generalization of ordinal numbers aimed to extend enumeration to infinite sets. Usually Greek letters are used for ordinal number variables to help distinguish them from natural number variables. Let's see if I can find a really easy way to non-empty set. Let's see if there's a way. Ordinal numbers are distinct from cardinal numbers, which measure the size of sets. Although the distinction between ordinals and cardinals is not this apparent on finite sets, one can go from one to the other just by counting labels. Oh, see, that might have been what I found years ago. They are very different in the infinite case, where different infinite ordinals can correspond to sets having the same cardinal. But I think it was about the labeling that I looked into years ago. Like other numbers, ordinals can be added, multiplied, and exponentiated, although none of these operations are commutative. Commutative. Sounds like a disease. Anyway, I think if you look into this, you will see why it's important, what it means, because you're talking about overlapping, things that overlap. The fact that they showed that Vesica Pisces for the cardinal. Or why does the Vatican even use the word cardinal?
I can't say I fully follow it, Kurt. It's just I have to mull on it and look at the logic.
You'll have to stare at it for a long time until it hits you and you go, it's so fine. The tuning is so fine that when you finally see it, you'll go, wow, it changes everything when you know it. But I never even seen that. I never even saw the Vesica Pisces like that before. They didn't, when I looked at this years ago, that wasn't up yet. So that's really helpful. That's cardinal.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, if you scroll down back to the, which we were on ordinal. That last paragraph, it says, ordinals were introduced by George Cantor in 1883 to accommodate infinite sequences and classify derived sets, because that's just what you mentioned right now, the labeling.
Derived sets. Yep.
And so I'm thinking of, I mean, what I am getting from this is the derivative the function of derivatives, and how that is used in the mechanics of the accounting system. Most obviously in the banking world, right? They have all of these instruments, these financial instruments that use extremely complicated and
Okay.
sophisticated.
Right. And you said bank, and right when you said bank, all I could think of was implantation.
Mm-hmm.
Now they showed a picture of the Vesica Pisces where there are two sets overlapping. So, but when you think of the moment of creation, the two sets are actually my dad's 46 chromosomes and my mom's 46 chromosomes. But ultimately, the two sets themselves would be the 23 of my dad and the 23 of my mom coming together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, the reason that's important is because the product of that, or the result of that, is that Jesus fish, which is the 46 chromosome Jesus fish,
Mm-hmm.
which is my kingdom, my biology. Now, what happens if you take the fetal maternal placenta and you look at it as the individual biology, mine, which is the fetal biology, but then you looked at the maternal as mother in general? Okay, this is gonna be hard to follow for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the individual biology of me, Curtis, but then you have the general or generic biology of a mother, any mother, a mother, since we all come from mother, since all mitochondria come from one mother, from mothers, only mothers, doesn't even need a name, only mothers. So mitochondria, which is the ability to perform work, labor. All of a sudden you start thinking of capital versus labor, or the AFL-CIO, labor unions, and collective bargaining, and all this shit starts to come in.
Yeah.
But let's just go back to mom's portion of the placenta, the accretion, the bank. Okay, so look at this. You got me, my individual boat, on this bank, but the bank itself is mother, generalized. What if you put all the placentas in the world in one giant public pool? Now what you have, where does everybody overlap? If everybody in the world's placenta was in the pool,
Central bank.
the central bank would be the collective of all the mother. But then each one of us individually would be collateral to that. So you'd almost look at it as if the Jesus fish itself then is where the overlap is. So let's just we'll get it small enough so it makes sense. So Ray, you and I, my fetal maternal placenta is put into a pool, a Vegematic, and your fetal maternal placenta is put in a Vegematic, and it's blended together, and we have one blended biomass. Well, if they're only looking at you and I individually, but then the mother, because of the mitochondrial DNA or the ability to perform work, or the energy, the source of energy. So now you have the generic energy source, which is mother through the mitochondria. And then you have Ray on one side and Kurt on the other side. So the overlap, the stuff in the middle, the central bank, the Jesus fish, is mother.
Yeah.
You're on one side, I'm on the other side. If you look at the Vesica Pisces, there's a set of Kurt which is Kurt and mom. There's a set of Ray and mom. Or you think of the set as being the fetal maternal placenta, but ultimately it's Ray and mom and Kurt and mom. What happens when they overlap? Where's the common point? What is the commonality of those two? Where is the set? What is the set that's created between those two, Kurt and Ray, or the fetal maternal placenta of Kurt, fetal maternal placenta of Ray? What's the overlap? It's the vesica Pisces. It's the central bank.
Yeah.
It's adulterous. You see it? Yeah, but I mean, all I did was they just put Kurt and Ray together.
Yeah, it's corrupted.
It's now you and I are corrupted.
Yeah.
Because we don't actually share a mother, unless you think of Gaia or Mother Earth or whatever, but we don't actually share a mother. But that's what the church is saying. The church is saying, oh yeah, you're sharing Mother Earth. That's the public. And so now we're able to bring you you're part of the public now through this cardinal system that we have in play, because you're collateral to it. No, I'm not.
And as a derivative,
you're bringing in derivatives.
Yeah, because now we're not natural numbers; we're ordinal and cardinal labeled derivatives, which
or worse, we're fractionalized in reserve and held in reserve. Fractionalized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hell, they call it fractional reserve.
One word that came across my news feed was tranche, and it wasn't related to financial topics. It was actually UFO, the whole Roswell thing's kind of getting some publicity, and so the one of these agencies is releasing tranches of information. So I looked up the word tranche, and the reason why it's relative is because that's what they put these derivatives in. They call them tranches, and so they grade them like Moody's or whatever, and investment bank grades the collateral of these tranches. So can we just look at that, because I don't remember what the word said, but I know it's exactly what you just explained. Here you go.
It is. It's TRANCHE.
Uh-huh. A division or portion. Okay, you go.
No, you read it. I want you to read it, because you're
a division or portion of a pool or whole. Specifically, an issue of bonds derived, there's the derivative, from a pooling of like obligations, there's the cardinal, such as securitized mortgage debt that is differentiated from other issues, especially by maturity or rate of return.
And what's the bond? What is actually the bond? The bond. Where does the bond?
The bond is an inextricably intertwined.
Yeah, you and mom.
Mm-hmm.
You're inextricably intertwined, and so am I. So they pool these fetal maternal placentas in a biological pool, a DNA pool. I call it a cesspool, but they pool it, and of course you have your own bond, and I have mine. What they say is mine, which is Curtis Richard Kallenbach. That's the bond. We don't live in the Bronze Age or the Golden Age. We live in the Bond Age. It's bondage. The Bond Age.
Mm-hmm.
It's bondage. Mm-hmm. But this is an amazing word that you pulled out of here. I'm going to go down to legal definition, see if there's any different there. Legal. A division or portion of a pool or whole as an issue of bonds derived from a pooling of like obligations that is differentiated from other issues, especially by maturity. Look at that. Or rate of return. Okay, so look at that. Especially by maturity. If I'm mature, am I any longer the infant?
No, and the bond actually is fulfilled with maturity.
With maturity, but if I keep claiming a birth date, do I ever mature?
No, because you just return back to that island.
I keep returning to infancy. So it says, especially by maturity or rate of return, and the rate of return is once a year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then Yep. Then the next one down says a bond series issued for sale in a foreign country. The point is that when you really have the eyes to see, you blew my mind just now, because it's in that one sentence. Well, it's in both. It's in the colon and the a colon, but that's just amazing. In that one sentence, an issue of bonds derived from a pooling of like obligations that is differentiated from other issues, especially by maturity or rate of return. So if you keep returning once a year, the Revolutionary War, you keep going back to infancy by celebrating the first year over and over and over, the infancy, that's a rate of return once a year. It's renewed. It's novation, whatever. I mean, then it's passed down from parents too. So it's just an amazing thing that they've created. And that's why I think if you want to play the game, go play it. Don't care. Not interested in playing. What I really want is I just want my kingdom. And I don't want any of it to be, I'm not sharing my kingdom with anybody. It sounds horrible, but it's not. In nature, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Socialism, communism, all that shit is total failure everywhere you look. So the reason, that's why no matter what, if I learn something new, I'll put it in a memoir. It's good to check that little link once in a while. But when you read it now, I think you're both going to look at it and go, kind of a holy crap. I did. I had like 87. By the way, I thumbprinted I printed everyone off. Thumbprinted it, put it up on my dining room table. Done. And then I look at it and maybe change it 6, 7, 8, 10 times, 12, 15 times in a day. Even after I thought I was done with it.
Yeah. You mean you're the only one in the world that can do that, Kurt, to be honest.
I believe you're right, but I think this one document, and by the way, let me also say this because of how hard it is for people to handwrite this. I'll be honest with you. Handwriting is the best thing you can do. And if you're going to put together a chain of title and you're going to mail it back to yourself for posterity, handwrite it. But if you're going to put these if you're going to put them in your letters and things like that, print it off and thumbprint it. There's nothing better than the thumbprint. There is nothing better than a thumbprint. That's genetics. Your handwriting is the handwriting is movement. It's evidencing movement and of the hand, and the hand can only move through the breath of God. So that's evidencing presence. But a thumbprint, you could take a thumbprint from a dead man, right?
Yeah.
A handwriting but the handwriting could be from a week ago. So there's no evidence of it being current unless you're here still breathing. But the point is, I think a thumbprint will work if you're going to mail these out, you could probably just print it off really on nice watermark paper or some really good resume paper or something.
Yeah.
And then
I have a question.
Thumbprint it. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, in the class, you said never put a name on it. And I wanted to just clarify that because the diplomatic pouch you sent to the president or Trump, did you put the House of Callback seal on a memoir? So can you explain the difference, if there is a difference, and
I think I did. I put an old seal on it, but if I remember correctly, the seal at the top radius said House of Kallenbach. And at the bottom, I think it said Curtis Richard Kallenbach. And in the middle it said Curtis, but it was over my thumbprint. And where it also, I think did it say author? Yeah. Yeah. So it said the author, thumbprint, and then I sealed it with that old seal. Now, hear me out on this because it's kind of an interesting thought process. I got a DNA profile done, and I used an authenticated birth record as the name. So Curtis Richard Kallenbach was the name on the birth record, and the guy at the forensic lab, the DNA place, looked at me and he kind of smiled at me like, you're linking your profile, your DNA profile, to that authenticated birth record.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the fetal maternal placenta does have my deposit, my biological deposit on there, and I do have a right of way over that, my mom's uterine wall. So there's nothing wrong with anything I did. So the House of Kallenbach over the top of that thumbprint, which is genetic, which originates at fertilization, by the way, my DNA or my genes. And then Curtis Richard Kallenbach lines up with that profile that I also mailed in part of my packet to the president. So it all correlates.
Yeah.
It all correlates. I mean, is just a thumbprint probably the best? Oh, it probably is. But I tied everything together by using that House of Kallenbach, because remember that my return address does say Curtis R. Kallenbach. So I got the trade name or my father's surname in there. And so House of Kallenbach, by the way, that's a way you got to look at this. If I'm a direct, the legitimate, or what do I have in the memoir? I did add legitimate, just sanguineous dignity of my father's monozygotic maritime monarchy. The fact that I'm legitimate to my dad, whose surname was Kallenbach, and that legitimacy is just sanguineous, it's by the blood, and it's the dignity of the father. So that I use the name Kallenbach specifically for that. Curtis Richard Kallenbach was used specifically because it's on the authenticated birth record. So yeah, I mean, there's always a method to my, I'll call it madness. I wouldn't do certain things if I didn't have evidence of it. If you know what I mean. If I couldn't prove it, I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
If I couldn't prove it, I wouldn't do it. In other words, remember, the burden of proof is on the claimant. If I say House of Kallenbach, I better damn well be able to prove the house. Tell them, what is the house? Where does that house emanate from? What is that? What about, Curtis Richard Kallenbach? Well, it's right here on an authenticated birth record.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody wants to argue with me over where that record comes from, or, I'll have no problem sitting here listening to somebody say, well, that's not yours. Oh, okay. Whose is it? And if you're talking about the placenta, I'm sorry, but my biology is inextricably intertwined with my mom's. So somebody's going to be collateral damage, and it's not going to be me. Jeremy, you still here?
Yeah, I am. And actually, I was just going to say, Kara just commented there. I believe it's Kara, Golden Light Being. She said authenticated birth record, not the birth certificate, right?
I used the live birth record from the county. That's what I used. Now, what does it mean? What's the difference between a live birth record, born alive, or live birth, over a birth certificate? Well, the reason I see a difference there is because back in the 1960s, I mean, when a live birth record was issued fairly quick, upon my arrival outside the womb. So there was a live birth record, or live born, or whatever record. Now, somewhere around May 5th, 1963, I think, a small square birth certificate or certificate of birth arrived in the mail. The stork delivered it, as a matter of fact, wearing a mailman's uniform. He delivered that child to the house, but it was the original, this little, I don't know, 3x5 folded birth certificate with a state seal on it. That was and I have that. I still have that certificate today. That was the original birth certificate that came in the mail. The new ones that are 8.5 by 11, like every other sheet of paper, they just keep changing things to make it more muddied up. So the birth certificate, to me, it seems like the birth certificate is not biology. The all caps birth certificate, to me, is not a headstone. It's an effigy. It's an effigy. When the stone gets rolled away and Jesus is not in the cave, the body's missing, right? Jesus's body's not in there. He was in there, but he's not in there. An effigy, I'm going to go to Black's Law and look up effigy real quick. So I don't think the all caps name is a tombstone. I think it's an effigy. And so I'm going to go to effigy at Black's Law real quick. E-F-F. Effigy. Effigy, page 462, right column. Effigy, the figure or corporeal representation of a person. It's a representation of a person. So if the person is the biology, the body itself, an effigy is the figure or corporeal representation of a person. So I think it's like there's nobody. It's nobody. An effigy is nobody. So Curtis, all caps, Curtis R. Kallenbach or Curtis Richard Kallenbach is an effigy. It's nobody. There's no biology to it. So I think when you put the two together, think of it as a ghost. The all caps birth certificate is a ghost, and the live birth record is the dead body, the dead biology, the human remains. When you put them together, you got the ghost and the biology in one place, which would be the living body, right? If there was no separate ghost and no dead body, no human remains, no cadaver. If you put the spirit back in the cadaver, it wouldn't be a dead body. But the paperwork evidence is a ghost, which is the all caps effigy, the spirit. And I think the live birth record, because it dies. I mean, remember, the biology dies. It becomes a decedent state. So the live birth record evidences the biology, but actually it doesn't. It evidences the human remains, what's left behind after baby goes home. So the all caps, I believe, is the spirit or the ghost, and the live birth record is the human remains, the biology that was cut off. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I follow. I do. I'm just looking at. I'm listening and looking at other words while you're speaking.
Well, I'm trying to be clear that because the paper's still the paper. The paper can never be you, no matter what. Yeah. It doesn't matter what anybody. Well, if you put these two together, that's the living. No, it isn't. It's still paper.
Yeah, I'm just because I don't. Okay, so she asked, "Is it the long form?" Then I remember. Oh, there's a long form and there's a short form, and I'm wondering if that's the new iteration of what you're explaining between the live.
No, they're two different things completely.
Okay, so
they're really. But you know what? I hate to say this. I that's why I don't talk about birth records. I honestly don't think you need it. I don't think you need any of that shit. I have it, so I use it, but I'm using it, I'm going to say, against those that created it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a memoir gets rid of the birth record altogether. You can't have both. What I'm saying is the memoir supersedes their space holder. Their record is for what was cut off. If you're still using it today, is there anything left behind? No. So their birth record, they both can't exist. You and the birth record cannot exist at the same time. But you and a memoir can exist at the same time because it's from fertilization to this moment. If you use the birth record, it's a terminal point. It's a decedent state. It ends with the cut.
Yeah.
So it's one or the other. If you use the birth
Insufficiently.
certificate, if you use, and I don't, God damn it, I can't stand when people don't understand that the fucking record, it's all terminal. The long form, short form, who gives a fuck?
Mm.
Who cares? I'm not angry at anybody. I'm just saying, don't get lost in that shit when you don't need it. The birth
Regardless,
record is a space holder for something, a terminal point. From the moment, in fact, it begins at conception. It doesn't even begin at fertilization.
Yeah. Regardless of, it's insufficiently factual.
It's insufficient. It is, what is a record?
Unsurpassed statistic.
An unsurpassed statistic. It's not surpassed. You can't even surpass it if you keep it in play, because the cut is a terminal point. If you're already considered dead, how do you pass it? How do you move beyond death?
You can't.
You can't. Jesus did. No, he didn't. Nobody comes back from the dead. Ever. Never has, never will. Biological death is death. Okay. There's people that have come back from the dead. No, they haven't. Because the definition of death is an ending point. If they came back from the dead, they were never dead. Dead means dead. It's hard.
Yeah.
You know what I know, Ray, recently, I'll tell you, I got to say this. What I've found, I mean, even though I don't actually post anything on Facebook anymore, I do check it out. I like looking for things on there because there's a lot of stuff. But I'm telling you right now, people make shit up. That's all they do nowadays. They just make shit up. They're just making shit up. And they post it like it's true.
Everybody has a platform.
Well, it's scary because it's so easy if you let go, if you stop wanting things to be true. Seriously, the easiest thing to do is just start wishing you were different. And then realizing you'll never be different. I'll never win the 100 meters at the Olympics. I don't even think about it. Why? Because it's not a possibility. But what if? There is no what if. This is where infancy must be left behind. This is where you start to understand what they've done. They've created a leviathan of infants. They've created a collective of infants, infant mindset. They've created a hive mind of infants. ID, the id. I just want what I want. I'm going to fucking have sex anytime I want. I'm going to go drink myself to death. I'm going to do all the fun things that infants do. And then they cater to it. Bread and circuses.
Yeah.
So they got an entire world of infants that believe whatever they want. Because they don't have the capacity to think critically. And the fact that, I'm sorry, you're a midget. Oh, Kurt, you can't say that. Fuck you, you're a midget. I'm short of stature. I don't care. You're short. Use whatever you want. I'm not, the fact that you're even offended by it. Who gives a shit? This is where infants, we're catering. The whole world is catering infancy. And you're wondering why we can't get away from it. It's because the people won't let go of it. The masses won't let go of the infancy because they want what they want. They want what they want. I deserve
What's it called when an infant? I should know this. I have 3-year-old. When they don't get what they want, they throw a fit.
Tantrum or
And
fit.
a tantrum. There it is. There it is. Okay, so I think just this past weekend, I don't know what day it was. I'm close to Los Angeles. I'm in the general area, and they had this huge riot. It was a protest against ICE, the Customs and Border, right? ICE, Department of Homeland Security, and I mean, it was just a bunch of the Leviathan that you just said, just this huge tantrum on the streets where they're throwing rocks at cars and causing mayhem. And, I got invited out there in a couple weeks, and I told the person, I was like, I'm sorry. I want none of that. I don't want to be around that type of energy, that type of mindset. It's just, and I didn't even know this at the time when I politely rejected the invitation to go out there. Um, and as you were just explaining your sentiment, your feeling right now, I I was thinking about the just the power of that Leviathan. It's hard to ignore. It's you know what I mean. If I hadn't looked at that news article, it would have been out of sight, out of mind, probably. And maybe I would have said, you know what, I'll meet you out there, and we'll have a good time at wherever she invited my friend. And but it's just such a loud voice. That tantrum is so loud that I can't ignore it, and that's why I stay here as close to nature as possible and talk to very few people, you and Jeremy being one of the handful. And I really just try to protect my sanity from the Leviathan.
What's funny is I'm not even sure if anybody ever understands when I talk about the id, the ego, superego, Freud's idea of the id. Let's pronounce it the way they issue. The id is the ID. The ID is issued for the infant. It's ID, id. Id entity, the infant entity, ID entity, identity. I went to Wikipedia just so I could do some of this stuff, because the ID, they issue an ID for the infant. So if you're carrying an ID, you're admitting to the infancy. That's your charge. You've accepted the charge. Understand the charge? You have. I'm at Wikipedia. It says, in psychoanalytic theory, the id, ego, and superego are three distinct interacting agents in the psychic apparatus outlined in Sigmund Freud's structural model of the psyche. The three agents are theoretical constructs that Freud employed. By the way, Freud, the German. Remember, Germany is probably behind most of all this shit. They're behind the entire drug system. Bayer. You're wondering where all the drugs are that are destroying the world. They're coming out of these companies, these drug companies that I'm not even going to say it's the German people. It's not the German people. But anyway, like Bayer or it says the ego. Freud himself used the German terms das Ich and Über-Ich, which literally translate as the it, comma, I, and over-I. So the id is the it. I think Stephen King actually wrote a novel called It.
Yeah.
That's the id. That's the infancy. It goes on to say the I is the ego, and the over-I is the superego. says the Latin terms id, ego, and superego were chosen by his original translators and have remained in use. Here it goes. I think people should read this, because then you start to understand what the id is really, that the ego is not even the problem. You got to get rid of the ego. You really need to get rid of the infant. Stop talking about the ego. I think you should talk about the id. Broadly speaking, the id is the organism's unconscious array of uncoordinated instinctual needs, impulses, and desires. That's the id. Instinctual needs, impulses, and desires. I'm going to go to see what instinct. Instinct is the inherent inclination of a living organism towards a particular complex behavior containing innate, inborn elements. Instinctual. Okay, but that's let me find more id stuff here. Freud compared the ego. Okay, look at this. Freud compared the ego. I'm not even joking. I'm reading this straight from Wikipedia. Freud compared the ego in its relation to the id to a man on horseback. The rider must harness and direct the superior energy of his mount, and at times allow for a practicable satisfaction of its urges. Its urges. The id.
Yeah.
The ego is thus in the habit of transforming the id's will into action as if it were its own. It's that the terms id, ego, and superego are not Freud's own. I'm down at ID now. Freud conceived of the id as the unconscious source of bodily needs, impulses, and desires, especially those related to aggression and the sexual drive. The id acts according to the pleasure principle, the psychic force oriented to the immediate gratification of impulse and desire. Is that not the world we live in?
To a T.
God damn it, that's the Leviathan. So you got these birth certificated persons all subject to this administrative process, but they're all fucking infants. Everybody's acting exactly like this.
Yeah.
It's frightening to be out there when you're around a bunch of numbskulls. By the way,
Yeah.
my new safe word, and a lot of people might laugh at me when I say this.
I'm already laughing.
People, in fact, nobody will believe it, but it's absolutely true, because everybody thinks that when I'm yelling and screaming all the time, that I'm actually that guy. I'm not. So, but the one thing that people never would attribute to me is joy. The idea of joy. I live that way all day, every day. I actually cannot believe people don't actually appreciate this place. I love it. In fact, that's why I'm so adamant about getting this message out, because if people actually learn to love their existence and their life and everything around them like I do, then they would understand my passion more, because you guys are failures. I'm not saying anybody listening. I'm not even saying you two guys. I'm saying the world of infants are failures. All they do is bitch and moan about everything that they don't have, when in fact they have everything they need all the time from the beginning. And so when I jokingly call joy my safe word, when I start to look around and feel really, really sad, that's the word I go to, because I feel it all the time when I'm on my bike ride, when I'm on the golf course, when I'm just sitting there reading a book. I just realized that this short amount of time that we have on the planet, we should really, really enjoy it. But we don't enjoy it when we're stuck in this, chasing all this, the bodily needs, impulses, and desires. You can never get enough. Everything is insatiable. I got to have more of this. I got to do more of that. I don't have enough of this. I mean, that's the world. That's the infinite world that I find myself surrounded by. And it's frightening. It is absolutely frightening. And when I call it a Leviathan, it's a giant, I think of it as a giant baby, absolutely huge baby, just stomping around and, crushing cities and everything, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
I just think of this fat harmless looking baby just stomping through cities and fires all around it, nuclear bombs going off because it doesn't know when not to push a button. I mean, that's how I look at it. Leviathan is a giant global infant.
Yeah. The next, well, Jeremy has it up on the screen right now. It says Freud described the id as the dark, inaccessible part of our personality. So if the island has been cut off, isolated, right? Remote, it's inaccessible, and if it's mixed up with and pulled together with other entities, other islands, then their will becomes this dark force that is because you can't go into someone else's mind and change their mind and say, hey, look, this is how it all works, and flip a switch. It's like this Leviathan is out of control and in a dark state of being. In that sense, it's inaccessible, but it's also inaccessible in the way they laid their fiction out, being remote and insular. Horseback.
So what they did is, it says, if you go down to the next paragraph, it says developmentally the id, the ID, precedes the ego. The id consists of the basic instinctual drives that are present at birth. That's what the birth certificate is. It's an ID for the infant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an unsurpassed statistic. It never goes beyond infancy. So the moment, I mean, the fact that everybody keeps admitting to that or accepting that infancy and keeps returning to that infancy every 365 days, which is the Revolutionary War, by the way. It says inherent in the somatic organization and governed only by the pleasure principle. That's it. I mean, that is it. That's all we see anymore. And it's all about having fun and you know what? That's not joy. That's not the same. Fun is not joy. To me, they're hardly even related. There's also, it says Freud describes the id as the great reservoir of libido. Look at libido. The libido or sex drive refers to a psychological energy that, in common parlance, encompasses all forms of sexual desire, but is sometimes also regarded as the driving force behind other needs, such as a mother's love for her infant. Well, there's your link back to mother and the mother protecting, or the fact that the Roman Catholic Church is the mother, or Mary becomes the mother protecting that child, but it's not the same child as the one from my mom. So all you have to do is learn a little bit about libido and you realize that's the id. What else is there here? It's also fun to think about the fact that the delta, the actual waveform of the infant is known as the delta wave. And it didn't, remember during COVID, COVID, the covered infant or the insured infant, COVID. Remember when COVID was coming out with another form called the Delta wave or the Delta. And it's comical how far this farce goes. But it's just, I think what the goal is for me is to just get to a place where you guys can all kill yourself. Seriously. Just what I mean by that is, push the bombs, go to war, kill everybody because your religions are all a mess. Kill everybody because, you just take what you want because you're all infants. But I'll sit out here and watch because there's nothing I can do to stop it. I'm doing everything I can do to stop it by trying to get people to understand that they don't have to participate. But you know what? Most people will never, ever stop participating in it because they can't help themselves, because they don't understand that they don't have to participate. Oh, Kurt, how do you get a loaf of bread with the birth certificate in play? The birth certificate's not in play for me. Yes, it is. All right. Well, there you go. You're arguing with you have absolutely no proof that you're right, but you're going to sit here and argue with me. That's where I just stop. And this is the biggest problem with all of this for me, is I'm just really getting tired. I'm tired of fighting with absolute fucking morons. And I'm fighting with them. I'm thinking I'm trying to help them when all I'm doing is wasting my breath. That's all I do, is waste my time, it seems like, with these people. And I got to stop caring. I don't know that I can do that, but I just got to let everybody kill themselves. By the way, I mean, who's going to demand? Just look at the way the narrative is. They get people to agree with the most insane ideas to pit each other against each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're doing on every level. Just look around. They're getting everybody to hate everybody. So when push comes to shove, who's going to do all the killing? We are. We're going to kill each other.
Mm.
They're going to sit back and laugh. We didn't have to do anything. We never did anything wrong. All we did was say a few things, and they all bought into it, and now they're killing each other. Great. That's exactly what we were hoping for.
Well, I will say quick that it's definitely not a complete waste of time, because there's no way I would have wrote the things and did the things I did this week if I hadn't come across you a year ago. So,
well, thank you very much.
It is benefiting the ones that are putting the effort in.
But you're putting in the effort. So when I talk about the monarchies and the fact that the monozygotic maritime monarchy begins at fertilization and only it's up to you. I mean, that's the truth. Mm-hmm. I'm doing everything I can to facilitate this, and I'm allowing people to use this work if they understand it, or they can defend it as a real monarch. But if you can't defend it, if you're just trying to get out of something because you're an infant, because you are an infant, this won't help you. If you keep believing the things that you're told, this won't help. None of it's true. That's the point. None of what they're saying is true. Kurt, I don't want to pay taxes. Well, you're not. I'm not a taxpayer. Well, how do you get there? I never was. Well, how do you get out of it? How do you get out of something that you've never been in? See, this is exactly what happens with infancy. They're told a story and they believe it. They don't sit down and look at everything and go, all right, well, that's not true. I'm not a taxpayer. Never have been. They keep saying I am. And then they keep sending me all these letters that say I am. But the burden of proof is on the claimant. And if they're saying I am a taxpayer, then ultimately they would have to prove it, would they not?
Yeah.
The same with, I mean, when I come up with something new, even for me, I mean, one of the coolest things I discovered even in the last few months was aircraft.
Yeah, let's get into that. That was on my notes.
That's so beautiful. I mean, let me read the piece out of the memoir, because I remember that day. And so it says, I am as spirit prior to the manifestation of one's ARC membership, exist without rival as exclusive owner of a personal, private, waterborne, land-based aircraft. Oh, this is huge. Directly occupying the legitimate just sanguineous dignity of my father's monozygotic maritime monarchy, inextricably intertwined with an artfully crafted and recorded born alive infant member bank of my mother. Obviously, you notice some changes there, but the point I'm getting at is waterborne, land-based aircraft. That's all three. That's the three estates of the realm. The waterborne, the first estate, which happens about 7 days while you're still in the waters of mother. We're not created on the land. We're created in the water. Oh, Kurt, that's not true. I'm a man on the land. Okay, infant. The point is that the moment of creation occurs in the water. When sperm meets ovum, it's in the water. Sperm swimming through the water, for crying out loud. And then for the first 7 days or so before Genesis 2:2 kicks in their story, which is what? On the seventh day, God comes to rest. Well, who's God? How about that? Imagine that. On the seventh day, God comes to rest. Well, what if the kingdom itself, the fertilized ovum known as the zygote, what if that's God coming to rest where? Implantation, the uterine wall. Mount Sinai, whatever. Mount Ararat, the accretion, the elevated portion, whatever. But that's the second estate. When you come out of the heavens, out of the water, and land into the uterine wall, that's land-based. Now you're based on the land. You've come out of the heavens, out of the waters, onto the land of mother, the motherland, the promised land, Mother Earth, whatever, Gaia, Pangea, I don't care what you call it. You've come out of the water and landed onto the bank of the river of life known as the uterine wall. The bank. Your ark is now on the bank of the river, the bank. And then what? Then you, as the ship captain of that ark, you do what? You exit the boat. You exit the ark. You leave your kingdom behind. And that's when the baby comes out into the air. Mm-hmm. So now he's neither in the water. He's not in the ground like he used to be when he was immersed in the uterine wall. He's in the air. And for the rest of your life outside of the womb, are you not traveling through the air? You're not underground like a worm. You're not in the water like a fish. You're an aircraft. So now you have all three estates of the realm. You have LAW, land, air, and water, the law. Now the law is intact. If you don't have all three of those elements, you have broken the law. When you clamp and cut the umbilical cord, you broke the law. It's your fault. FAULT.
I have a couple comments.
Uh-oh.
Well, the first is I used this in the last video, government, and I'd always remember this from my early days of learning about. Anyways, so gubernar, that's the Latin word, to direct, rule, guide, govern, originally to steer, to pilot. So, you've in the memoir, we just went over the aircraft, and it's so amazing that the word government, it applies not only to what people default to, right? Governing body, but it literally applies to piloting a ship or in this case an aircraft. And the visuals that I was using when making those reels, there was parts where I was showing an island that was without a king, without a governing consciousness. The I am was not there. So there was no government on that island, on that horse. And the pilot was absent in that story, in that fiction. So that was just the first thing I wanted to throw in.
Well, I'm going to do two things real quick. I'm going to go to the word craft because of the aircraft idea, but I'm going to go to, because you were talking about the horse, just for a split second. The horse, what's interesting is, I remember, I should read this. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is about the headless horseman. Mm-hmm. Now, I want you to really, I'm going to go heavy biology here. The horse itself is the geological horse, which is the uterine, a piece of the uterine wall that is fractured or cleaved off of it. So what was once part of the whole wall, once part of the whole land, is now a piece of the land, which becomes the island territory, but we're going to call it the horse. All we have to do is go to horse geology, and it'll explain this. It's a fault. It's cleaved off or separated via fault, F-A-U-L-T. So when this piece of Mother Earth or piece of mother comes out of mother and separates from the uterine wall, that maternal part of the placenta, that's a piece of that rock, a piece of the rock, and becomes an island separated from the mainland. That is known as a geological horse. And then, but what's on that horse? It's a piece of your biology, the fetal biology. So the fetal maternal placenta has a piece of you on this rock or on this horse. So you're riding that horse. You are riding that horse biologically. But it doesn't have your government, does it? Because you're out here.
Yeah.
So their birth certificated fetal maternal placental island does it has the horseman and it has the horse, but it doesn't have the head, because your government is not on that horseman, is it?
No.
It's the headless horseman. That's the fetal maternal placenta.
Yeah. It's just biology. It's just
biology.
Yeah.
And so since you have forgotten about the time in the womb, you have forgotten about the fetal maternal placenta, that horseman remains headless, because the government that should be governing that body, that biology, isn't there any longer. The clamping and cutting of the cord creates the headless horseman. So when you start reading the legend of Sleepy Hollow and you start understanding all the mythology or these folklore situations, it's all biology.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, even, we just saw the Odyssey. That's biology. The horse, what movie did we just see?
See.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I was just talking.
yeah, the Trojan horse.
The Trojan horse. The fetal maternal placenta is a Trojan horse. It has the horse, the geological horse, which is the maternal part of the placenta, but then it has what? It has the infantry attached to it or inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
To do what? To take over whatever government adopts it. To take it in. Who takes in that horse?
The citizen.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you adopt the birth certificated character as if it's you?
Mm-hmm.
So you take that Trojan horse into your life. You adopt that character, and guess what? The one that created it, the one that sent it to you, now gets to undermine your life. Steal everything right out from under you. Literally out from under you. Because you believe it's you. That is a Trojan horse. The birth record, the birth certificated character is a Trojan horse.
Yeah. And then it self-replicates throughout your life like a Trojan virus on a computer.
We hand it down through our belief systems to our offspring, our sons and daughters, and they don't have to do anything to perpetuate it. It's the ultimate virus.
Hey, Kurt, speaking of another fiction, this came across, and it's totally relevant to what we're talking about, because you said it about 5 minutes ago. You said on the seventh day, God rests, the kingdom rests. And then you kind of went there. You said, well, who's God? Am I not God of my kingdom? Right? So I sent Jeremy an article that came out today. Supreme Court is hearing a case from the ACLU, American Civil Liberties, union. So just right off the bat, it's the civil liberties that are being spoken for or represented by this group. And they have to see that picture right there. It says the 10 Commandments. It says I am. Okay, so think about this. I've been making a ton of reels on those three words I am as spirit. The Lord,
I know, by the way, they're
thy-
fantastic. So keep making them. They're fantastic.
Thanks. I am the Lord thy God. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. I mean, just please, just tell everybody what the fucking 10 Commandments is, and then, Jeremy, after I want you to bring up the whole 10 Commandments, because I swear. I mean, even the next one, thou shalt make to thyself any graven images. So I don't want to get too far, but I want you to do this.
First of all, I'm going to start with just the I am. It says the Lord thy God, but it says I am, and then it says thou shalt have no other gods before me. So right there, I am and me are one and the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is go to the definition of me, or understand amness or the I-ness, and which is your what you're doing with your reels, your videos. But then what's interesting, it says thou shalt not make to thyself any graven images, which is the birth record. Graven could be engraved, which is to be put in a grave or in a sepulcher, or to be engraved. To engrave is a form of writing. Image, the word image, if you just think of an image, any image is a representation of sorts, a representation. So the 10 Commandments, realistically, to me, if you look at all 10 of them, it ultimately comes down to, I think, only one word, and it's trespass. If you really look at this, it comes down to a trespass upon I am. Anything that follows me or tries to mimic me or replace me is an image. But they got all the infants out there saying, I am made in the image of God. We're in the image of God. Yes, the infants are. Which is contrary to the 10 Commandments. So all the infants are out there following the other infants before them, which is like watching the lemmings follow each other over the edge of the cliff. That's what's happening here. But since they outnumber everyone. They're called the masses for a reason. They outnumber everybody, and then they have these governments that represent them. This administrative process that represents the infants, which has all the guns and the badges. Mm-hmm. And since there's only birth certificated persons, and since all the money goes through that conduit or the energy, if you don't use it, you can't interface. So they've made it a damned if you do, damned if you don't world. Which is why the only thing, my last step is just getting direct access to the value of the entirety of my kingdom. And then never think twice about what's going on in that world. Yeah. Now, people go, well, it's taking you a long time. Well, why don't you give me some fucking help? Once you start digging around and learning some shit and telling me so we can work together instead of waiting for me to do anything. How about that? By the way, I get a lot of help. I'm not saying people don't help me, but you know who's helping me? The people like you, the people that are actually looking into the shit and going, oh, by the way, have you seen this? No, I haven't. Wow. Unbelievable. Which funny is that every time anybody finds anything, it's just proving me to be spot on.
Yeah.
I've never found anything that didn't help the cause.
Well, can we just go through a few more of the 10 Commandments, because they're all very, very specific. the biology.
This is actually really fun. Yeah, the Ten Commandments. By the way, if people just adhered to this, but they understood it was on a biological level, I don't have any problem with the Ten Commandments. I mean,
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so we covered the first two. Number 3, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. How do you construe that biologically?
Well, I would have to go to the word vanity,
Mm-hmm.
and see what it says. Vanity. To take the name in vain. It says inflated pride in oneself or one's appearance, conceit, something that is vain, empty. Look at something that is vain, empty, or valueless. Empty. If it's devoid of breath, if it's devoid of your spirit, the breath itself, is it empty?
Spiritually bankrupt, yeah.
Spiritually bankrupt is empty. So the birth record, the birth certificate at infancy is empty already. I mean, we're already there, aren't we?
You just explained an effigy too earlier.
So look, what's really funny is vanity. It says at 6A a compact, but look what 6B says: a small case or handbag for toilet articles used by women. I mean, people can't see what I'm seeing here, but I'm telling you right now,
The waste material.
it's and it's a purse or a bag for those articles.
Mm-hmm.
Look at
So
this.
right off the
bat, yeah, to take the Lord's name in vain. First of all, vanity is where you got to go. But look what it says: vanity of, relating to, or being a work such as a book or recording, a record,
Yeah.
whose production cost is paid by the author or artist.
Oh my gosh.
And number 2 says of, relating to, or being a showcase for a usually famous performer. Here you are in the court performing, or artist who is often also the project's creator or driving force. My point is that once you start to look at the 10 Commandments and just go, well, I'll just take the language of today, see what it says.
I know.
And then all you have to do is, well, Kurt, the Lord is. Well, you don't know what the Lord is. You think you do because you're following the infants in front of you. I'm the author of my life, so I can, but the 10 Commandments, I can't pretend to know what the writer of the. Wait a minute, yes, I can. Kurt, you're not. That was written by God. Yes, you're welcome. Think about that. Kurt, the Bible's not of God. Sure it was. Living men breathing the breath of the Spirit of God were writing it. So the work of the Bible would have to be of God because of the breath. Without the breath, there's no spirit, there's no God. Dead bodies don't write books. I'm not saying it's not just a book, but it is the word of God because the hand that wrote it was filled with the Spirit. It was holographic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's godly. How about this, though? If that's true, Kurt, if the book is written by the hand of God or by God, of course it is. Only living, breathing, spiritual beings can write. That's God. But then this, too. When a guy's robbing the bank and he's breathing, is he not filled with the breath of God, too? So God's robbing the bank, too, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Every action that a living person does is through the breath of God. So when somebody says, well, God will provide, absolutely. Provide the good and the bad. Because we're the ones doing it. The biological beings breathing the breath of God. You know what? It's just a matter of what's the animal? Is the animal in charge? Or is the consciousness, is thought involved? If it's the id, that's the dog off the leash. That's the animal running roughshod through it's the bull in the china shop.
Yeah.
You see what you have to have both the government and the body, the mind and the body, mind over matter. So if it's mind over matter, the mind is actually controlling the matter. That's the government. That's self-government. What happens if you don't have the ability to self-govern? That's the id. And when a cop says, "Can I see some id?" and you show it to him, now he knows he's dealing with an infant, a mental midget, a moron.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we don't, like I said, all I had to do was go to vanity. Next one
Yeah.
down says what?
It says, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy.
Well, what's the Sabbath?
Well, the Sabbath is
But
the
don't tell
day
me it's
God.
Saturday or Sunday. What does the
No,
word
no.
Sabbath mean? I don't
Well, I
want to
was
hear
going to say it's the day
Saturday
God
or Sunday.
rests. I was going to say
It
the
would.
day God rests.
Okay, so look at that. I'm looking at Sabbath at Webster's, and number 2 says a time of rest. That's all it says.
Yeah.
If you're working 24/7, first of all, does the birth certificated person in the fictitious Gregorian calendar, does it ever rest?
No.
No.
No rest
right.
of the week.
It's in play 24/7. It never rests, does it?
It's a broken record. Just keeps
It
playing over
it,
and over.
it it's just it's forever. But here's what's really, I'm glad it says a time of rest. On the 7th day, God comes to rest.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that, and I'm going to really split hairs here, and it's going to be hard for people to see it, most people to see it. Rest. Let me see if I can look for another definition. I'm going to go to R.I.P. What does it mean?
P as in Paul.
R.I.P.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
R.I.P. R.I.P. definition. What does it say? Meaning of R.I.P. is to tear or split apart. Look at this. To rip apart, to split apart or open, to remove quickly or violently, to saw or split wood with the grain, to slash or slit with as if with a sharp blade, to hit sharply, to utter violently, to spit out, to criticize, to disparage, to become ripped, to rend. But look at what else it says. A rent made by ripping, to tear, to cut. Number 2 is to rip. Rip number 2 at 2 of 5 noun says to cut. So to rip is to cut. R.I.P. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Rip also is a body of water made rough by the meeting of opposite tides, currents, or winds. Rip tide, rip current, a current of water roughened by passing over an irregular bottom. Well, I already know all these words. I know what a bottom is. I know all this. A dissolute person, a libertine, is a rip. But look at this, R.I.P., abbreviation, Latin, requiescat in pace, may he rest in peace, may she rest in peace. Latin, may they rest in peace, R.I.P., rest in peace. Okay, so I want you to think about, on the 7th day, God comes to rest. The first 7 days, you're floating on the water. On the 7th day, God, the kingdom in its entirety, your monozygotic maritime monarchy, in its whole, it lands in the uterine wall. So now heaven comes to earth. Out of the heavens, and now you land on earth in peace. Mom takes you in. She buries you. She covers you over, and she takes care of you the next 9 months or so. Heaven and earth are in harmony.
Mm-hmm.
First Amendment. Peaceable assembly. It's a second estate. It's also nobility. But your entire kingdom, the heavenly kingdom, is on earth in one piece. Everything's whole. There's no cut. So God comes to rest in the second estate. And then what? Remember that your kingdom is all one. Baby, umbilical cord, and extra-embryonic is all one godly kingdom.
Yeah.
So baby comes out of the womb, but what do?
They
clamp
rip it.
and cut the cord. Yeah, they rip it apart. They're not at peace anymore, are they?
Mm-mm.
And this is what people don't understand biologically. So also remember the definition of war at number 2 is competition over a particular end. So here you are outside the womb competing over that kingdom, which is a war. That's certainly not peace, is it?
Mm-mm.
Was it you the other day, or was it Jeremy, where you were, what word was it that you discovered that I said, oh yeah, it's in the memoir, it's called peaceable? What word were you talking about?
I think that was you, yeah.
Paleographic?
Was it? No, I actually put peaceable. It's actually in the memoir, but you were talking about a word and you said, look at this. I mean, and I go, yeah, it's peaceable. It means peaceable, and it's in the memoir.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what's interesting about RIP, though, rest in peace. We also look at that. I mean, people think resting in peace is when do we rest in peace? When do they put RIP on or attach it to you?
When you die.
Right. When you're done. So look at how weird this is. When they clamp and cut the cord, you're out here breathing. You have the breath of God in you. But the kingdom left behind, it doesn't have the breath anymore, does it?
No.
RIP. There's no breath in that kingdom. It's been cut off. It's ripped. RIP. Rest in peace. It's cut.
Mm-hmm.
So it's now spiritually bankrupt. But that's where the idea of RIP comes in, or the rest in peace aspect comes in. The idea is this: when they clamp and cut the cord, they create that terminal point where back there, that material, that biology, that estate that they created is a decedent estate. God is dead in that world. God is dead in that world. That's the separation of church and state, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they did. They separated church and state. They created a place where God didn't exist. That's the island territory. Hell, they call it, at the Montevideo Convention of 1933, they call it a state as person. That person is devoid of God. It's spiritless. God is dead. Separation of church and state. They state as person. That person evidences the state. And what do they give it? They give it a Gregorian civil calendar character. So now it's civil. That's the state, isn't it?
Yeah.
The civil calendar character, the Gregorian calendar, birth certificated, godless person is the state as person as of 1933 December. That's the state. Separation of church and state occurred 1933. Now what? Now the government is separate from the temple, the body. Headless horseman. What I'm getting at is that all of this stuff can be made sense of. But I mean, we're talking about the 10 Commandments.
Yeah. Wasn't there a scene in, I haven't seen it, but in the Odyssey where a ship is being pulled into a riptide down to the bottom? A whirlpool?
Yes.
Okay. So a whirlpool is different than a riptide.
Well, I think that it could seem like, I mean, the waters, the way they're moving, undertow and all that stuff, it could probably all be defined very similar.
Yeah. Well, because one of the words we came across was a toilet, and I was thinking of how a toilet has this sort of vortex. You know, it's a whirlpool of water that flushes away and sends the waste material down to the bottom. And I probably shouldn't be talking about the Odyssey without having read it recently or seen the movie. maybe I'm reaching for straws right here, but I
I
mean, I
think
know there's a connection.
yes, and a toilet. Again, he's on a ship. He's basically lost at sea. He's out there. Yeah, all these things. But a toilet, Webster says it's also 3, a cleansing in preparation for or in association with a medical or surgical procedure. And a toilet is also to a dress or garb, a certain type of dress or garb. So I mean, if you dig far enough, you can usually see connections to why they're using certain words. But yeah, let's go back to the 10 Commandments real quick.
Yeah.
But to rest, to come to rest, if it's R.I.P., rest in peace, the idea is not to be alive anymore. I mean, that's what we've been told. And of course, that occurs with the clamping and cutting of the cord because the material left behind is devoid of the breath or God. So the birth certificated fetal, maternal, placental estate is a decedent estate, but that's devoid of the breath of God. So it's godless, which makes it what? A separation of church and state. So they created a civil calendar character, which is used in civil government for civil procedure. Has nothing to do with God. Or maybe it does. You know, see what I'm getting at? You just got to ask yourself, is civil, where does civil come from? Remember, the Gregorian calendar and the civil calendar are used, they're the same thing. The Gregorian calendar has become the civil calendar, which is, in my world, that's Isaiah 9:6, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. So they created a governmental agent or a governmental character born to that calendar to do what? To govern that situation. But we're never told how to use it. So what's the next one here? Honor thy father and thy mother.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Are we still on Sabbath?
Well, I just wanted, how do you explain to keep it holy? Okay, so we know that the Sabbath is the day the kingdom comes to rest. But why is it saying to keep it holy? What's the true intention of that?
I'm going to search real quick. I'm going to etymology online, and I'm going to go to the word holy, just to see what the root would be, because it might shock you. Oh, there it is right there. Holy. Last line. This is reconstructed like is to be from Kalo, whole, uninjured.
Yeah, there it is right there.
Right there. Whole, uninjured. That's holy. So if there's no cut, like I said, what I'm attempting to do is I'm trying to keep it holy. The Sabbath. I'm trying to keep all of it holy. They clamp and cut a cord and they create this consecrated ground. Okay, I got that. But that's just part of my evolutionary due process. It's part of me. It's part of my life. And I'm still here. They didn't take it away from me. It's not separate from me. Yeah, it says whole, uninjured, doesn't it?
It does.
Well, I didn't know that. Well, of course I might have, but I'm not going to say that I actually knew it. But holy, yeah, whole and uninjured. So remember the Sabbath.
We did cover that in the memory class. Holy Spirit was from breath, or was it? Yeah, it was breath. Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what if I've been breathing? What if I've had the breath of God in me from fertilization to this moment? Yeah, mom was breathing for me while I was in the womb. It doesn't mean I was devoid of breath. You know?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's the next commandment? I mean, this is actually pretty fun just to go through this, and we could actually finish with this only because it's so cool. But it says, honor thy father. What does it say?
Honor thy father and thy mother.
And thy mother. Well, where's the only place biologically of all three estates, realistically, where is heaven and earth, or Heavenly Father and Mother Earth, where are they actually together?
In the second estate.
Sure. The second estate. The first estate was devoid of mother as far as the 46 chromosome kingdom. The zygote would be being the father. But prior to the creation of that kingdom, it was dad's 23 and mom's 23. But that really isn't father or mother either, because dad's 23 chromosomes is not dad's 46 chromosomes, is it?
No.
No. So I'm not really honoring my father through his 23 chromosomes, because my dad had 46 chromosomes, but he gave me 23. My mom had 46 chromosomes, but she gave me 23, resulting in a 46 chromosome unique, peerless, faultless kingdom, monozygotic maritime monarchy. But so now you have this father, this zygotic father, who I'm supposed to honor. And when that lands in the uterine wall, that's Mother Earth. So the only evidence of mother and father together would be the fetal maternal placenta.
Mm-hmm.
That record. But that's also because of the cut. I don't see how I'm honoring the father and mother through a death or the decedent estate. I'm still living. I'm in honor today. I'm still in honor because I'm breathing. You see what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Mother Earth and you look at the heavenly kingdom, which you're still breathing life into, I would say that as long as you don't shit in your own well or throw your bags of McDonald's out your window, you're honoring mother. And as long as you honor the father and recognize who the father actually is, being the zygotic kingdom, and you don't forget about the father or even forget about the mother, I think that's what we're doing with the memoir. We're not forgetting anything. How's that?
Yeah. Well, we went over this word not too long ago, the word land, and it led to landing. And the word landing in Webster's means the act or process of one that lands. It says especially going or bringing to a surface, such as a land or a shore, after a voyage or flight. So if you look at that commandment as the father, honor thy fatherland, which is the zygote, the product of fertilization, and the motherland, meaning the accretion, the portion of the mother for the fatherland to rest, then it perfectly aligns with what you just said about honoring. No, don't shit in your own well, because this. Am I on the right track there? Or
Yes, because right now, think about all the infants are out there doing really nasty shit to the earth.
mm-hmm.
I mean, some really nasty. I mean, whoever's spraying the shit in the skies, that's a total dishonor of mother. I mean, whoever is doing their using severe pesticides in farming, that's a nasty ass thing to do to mother.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, all the different things that they're doing with the giant industrial farming and the nasty stuff they're doing to the animals, that's contrary to Mother Nature. There are good ways to do things and bad ways. And I think right now, the level of dishonor to Mother Earth, it's not the same thing. Building buildings and cities and all that stuff, that's not dishonoring Mother. If you do everything the right way, it works. But pretending geoengineering and starting fires all over the earth and poisoning it and dumping barrels of whatever into the ocean, and I mean, that's dishonor. I just think that we all know the truth and we just turn our backs on it. You know, I sadly, I was hitting golf balls last night with a buddy, and we were out at the driving range, and you know, he's been my best buddy probably pretty much for as long as I can remember. But and I look up and I hit I was hitting wedges, so they, you know, they were going up kind of high in the sky, and there was a chemtrail jet flying over the top of us and going real slow and just dumping loads of shit into the sky. And I look up and I said, "Ah, Jesus, look at that mess." And here he is. He's my age, and he'd never seen it. I mean, he can't see it. He's a musician, but I mean, he can't see it because why would he see it? And he goes, "What's different about it?" And I pointed this long trail. I said, "That when we were growing up, Jeff, that never happened. They're dumping chemicals into the sky. That's not coming out of engines. It's coming out of spigots that are attached to the wings." I said, "They're actually spraying us like it's I call it crop dusting the state farm." And he started looking at it, and I said, "Yeah, you can. Sometimes you can see them turn it on and turn it off. There'll be just lines, and then it'll stop, and then it'll start again." And I said, "You know what? I should have never told you that. I actually shouldn't have. I should have never told him that because it's one more thing for him to worry about." And he's never known any of this. You know, we've been friends. He doesn't listen to my shit, thank God. No offense to anybody, but you know, he's 66 years old or whatever. You know, it's just hard on people to wake up at this level. You know, and I don't know why I said anything to him. Normally I wouldn't. Anyway, where are we on the 10 Commandments?
We're on 6.
Yeah, this is all like I said, this is just fun. Put the commandments back up real quick.
Oh, my bad.
It's all right.
I know it's getting late for you, Jeremy. We'll be done after this.
Yeah, so I mean, this one's easy. Thou shalt not kill. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, when they clamp and cut the umbilical cord, they actually abort the human race. They abort it. It's an abortion. It's genocide. Thou shalt not kill. Are you kidding me? Then they create their own idea of the citizenship. Okay, thou shalt not commit adultery. I think we have to go to adultery real quick. I remember when I first learned this word. It was a little weird. Adultery, okay. Voluntary sexual intercourse between a married person and someone other than that of the person's current spouse. Okay, so I know that the fetal maternal placenta in religion, that is considered a marriage. The fetal maternal biology, the uterine wall link, that's a marriage between those two persons. But let me see, there's something else. I think I have to go to etymology real quick. Because that's the only way people see adultery, but there's something more to it than that. Adultery. Voluntary violation of the marriage bed. Marriage bed. Now remember, implantation. So when my biology plants into the uterine wall, that's a bed, a seabed. A seabed. So I'm marrying, I'm incorporating into that bed. It's an incorporation. It also says Latin adultery, to commit adultery, to corrupt. To corrupt is also adulteration, to corrupt something. It also says to alter. To alter is adultery. So when you clamp and cut something, you're altering it too. It says compare adulteration to adultery. In Middle English, sex between a husband and wife for recreational purposes. Idolatry. Look at that. So adultery is also idolatry, perversion, and heresy. So it's not just what we're always told it is. So you have to look. By the way, is the birth certificated character? I call it the American Idol. Is that not idolatry?
Absolutely.
It is.
Sure, it is. I mean, think about Moses going up to get these 10 commandments, and his brother Aaron sitting at the base of the mount, and all the people, all the wanderers are down there going, God damn, he's been up there a long time. I mean, we really need something down here to worship. And what does Aaron say? He says, you know what, I can make a golden calf for you. If you need something to worship. And they go, yeah, we need something. He says, give me all your gold, and I'll fashion you something. And of course he does. He takes all their gold and he turns it into a golden calf. Well, guess what? In House Joint Resolution 192, didn't they take all the gold from the American people back in 1930, whatever it was, 33, 34?
They did.
Yeah, they took all the gold and they gave everybody what? They gave them an American Idol, a birth certificated person, the image of God. It's right there.
Yeah.
They took the gold and returned an idol to you, to everybody.
They took the graven image.
Then, and everybody took on the graven image as their golden calf. That's what they're using now. We don't even have money anymore. We bow down and use the graven image. So idolatry, perversion, and heresy. What else it says in here? Okay. Is there anything further down? No, I'm not going to worry about it. But I mean, that's enough right there.
Yeah,
so it's not just what people think it is. You gotta look further. Corruption, by the way, is non-pure. Non-pure.
We covered that earlier. What was the word? Incorruptibility, integrity.
Integrity. Yeah,
Yeah.
we started with that pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. So then, thou shalt not steal. So I'm just going to go to steal real quick. I mean, first of all, if it's not yours, it's not yours. Don't tell me that my DNA is anybody's but mine. By the way, the common law to me is theft, where everybody's saying, "Oh yeah, we're all entitled to this." And by the way, in the common law, it is actually known that there is no ownership of anything. There's nothing that can be owned by you alone.
I don't think I've ever had to ask you this, but where did you say you were going?
Me?
Yeah.
Where am I going? With what?
On your browser. You said you're going to something.
Oh, you mean tomorrow or Thursday?
No, right now on your web browser.
He said, "I'm going to a word."
Oh, I'm going to a word.
I didn't.
Yeah, which
it.
word?
I'm going to steal. I'm going to steal. I'm going to the word steal.
That's where I'm at.
It says to take the property of another wrongfully, and especially as a habitual or regular practice. Look at the word habitual. Habit. A habit. How about this? This is going to be a little scary, but when I was passing through the womb, the second estate, whose biology is the womb?
Mom's.
It's mom's. Am I ever the owner of mom's property?
No.
I can't be. I mean, I cannot own my mom's biology, but I can have a right of way over it, which is the name of the first book. So what I realize, so I'm not stealing it. If I try to take ownership of my mom's biology through a claim, any claim, that's theft. I'm stealing my mom's DNA. I'm stealing my mom's land. But that's not the same thing as having a right of way over it, a right of passage. I'm going to go to right of way real quick at Webster's. Now, I'm good with the right of way. I don't need to own my mom's island. By the way, I've never been on the island. I've never been on that island. I've never been on the placental island, because when it was attached to my mom, it wasn't an island. When I was in the castle, when I was in the boat, in that land, it wasn't an island then. But when it comes out as the placenta, it becomes an island. But I've never been on the island. my DNA, they're pretending it's on that island because of the placenta. My biology is inextricably intertwined with mom's biology, but it doesn't mean I've been there. I've never been there. When I came out of the womb, I was out here, and I was still attached to that biology until they clamped and cut it. Then it comes out, and now it's a separate island. I've never been on that island. But look what it says: right of way. A legal right of passage over another person's ground. Is that not me moving through mom's womb?
Mm-hmm.
Of course it is. How about this? The right to take precedence. The right to take precedence over others. Well, who else has a right over that property but me? I'm the only one that ever occupied it. I'm the only one that I ever know was there when I was there. Don't get me wrong. I had 5 brothers and sisters, but they weren't there when I was there. My point is, a legal right of passage over another person's ground is me moving through mom's womb. But it also says a right to take precedence over others. I'm gonna type in precedence. Just see what it says. A right to take precedence over others. Precedence, priority of importance or application. The right of superior honor on a ceremonial or formal occasion. The order of ceremonial or formal preference. The fact of coming or occurring earlier in time. Antecedent. So here's my question. If I have a right of way over, we'll call it the motherland. If I have a right of way and I take precedence over others regarding that matter, if that matter shows up in a courtroom and it somehow bumps into another vehicle or vessel, I'm talking about in court, not physical cars hitting each other, but because even physical cars hitting each other still have representative characters driving them. So the only thing that's in the courtroom are the representative characters. The physical cars made of steel aren't in there. So if I come to an intersection and I have a right of way, and remember, it's an intersection. So I have a car to my right, I have a car across the street from me, and I have a car to my left. There's 4 of us at this intersection, and I have a right of way over that ground. Who goes first?
You do.
Yeah, but in driver's ed, they told me that whoever got there first was supposed to go, and then we're supposed to figure out who got their second and who got their third, and kind of go that way. No. If I take precedence, everybody else waits until I go. Is it possible to get into an accident ever, or an injured party? Can there be an injured party if I take precedence?
No.
No, because I always go first. I'm always first. I always go. So if there is an accident, who's at fault?
I'm sorry. My mind went somewhere else. You got to answer that, Jeremy. I'm still thinking about Kurt's four-way intersection.
I said, if there was you would be at fault. If you're responsible.
I would be?
If you're responsible.
No, I can never be at fault. If I take precedence, I'm never at fault. If I take precedence at an intersection, it doesn't matter if I go first and somebody hits me, or if I hit somebody, who's at fault?
Whoever hits you. I see what you're saying.
If I take precedence, it doesn't matter how it happens.
Right.
They either shouldn't have been in my way,
right,
or they shouldn't have hit me. Either way, they're wrong if I have a right of way.
Right.
It doesn't matter even what happened. If there's an accident and I have a right of way, I don't care what happened. They shouldn't have been in front of me, or they shouldn't have been to my side. They shouldn't have gotten in the way, because I'm the only one. It's almost as if they're not there. A right of way is almost as if nobody else is there. I go. So if somebody hits me, they're coming out of nowhere. They shouldn't have been there. And they shouldn't have been in front of me because nobody's in front of me. If I have a right of way, nobody's in front of me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does now.
Now, so
I was
precedent.
confusing it with responsibility.
Now, if I have a right of way, I'm never responsible for what happens to me.
Right. Right.
Well, Kurt, my mind went to this idea because if they're taking that piece, calling it an island, a new state, or a federal insular possession, and declaring it public land, then they're giving that land, they're giving a right of way over that land to whoever's in the public. So the public can claim. I'm talking, pretty speaking fiction, can claim injury or precedence on that island, that insular possession. Right? Is that? Do you want to go there or no?
Well,
Because the BLM, it governs what? It's part of the Department of the Interior, Bureau of Land Management, administrates public lands.
right, but a separation of church and state applies to public lands only.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm whole, there's no separation.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
so what I'm going back to the idea that you're saying that the island territory is then it becomes public.
Yeah, like in that story, anybody could walk on that land because it's public, and therefore hold the one given agency.
Okay.
hold them liable.
Let me try to help you on this. So you got a 1,000-piece puzzle on a big kitchen table,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so you got to think of 1,000 people putting in their little piece of the motherland, and it turns into one giant country.
Mm.
All the motherland pieces become a country, the public.
Yeah.
And so everybody that has equity in the puzzle can travel anywhere in the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
What happens if they don't have equity?
They can't travel over the puzzle.
Not without license.
Right.
Mm.
So if a piece of if somehow my motherland that I have a right of way over, precedence, and that motherland is placed in the public through eminent domain, but I have equity over that piece of ground, and that piece of ground is just one puzzle piece in the larger country. I now get to travel anywhere in the country without a license because I have equity. But what happens if same ground, same deposit, but I have volunteered my equity away? Now, even though it's the same ground, the same puzzle piece, I no longer have equity, so I need a license to travel across that country, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's a trespass.
Otherwise, it's a trespass. So that's why when you see this, and it talks about what was the word? Let me go back to it real quick. So think about in the movie Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and he's over there in Istanbul or somewhere in the Mideast with all the warlords on the horses, and he's trying to get up the mountain, and he's standing underground with like 4 or 5 big guys with bayonets and shit in his face, and he just wants to keep going. He wants to move across that land. And what does the one warlord does? He sticks his bayonet into the piece of cake that Mitty gives him. He puts it up to his mouth and he takes a bite. Well, what is the cake? It's the placenta. The placenta gives him a right of way over that ground that he's walking on, so the warlords let him pass because he has equity in Mother Earth. I use the word country just so people understand that each one of the pieces of Mother in the placenta becomes, part of the motherland. But what if it's part of Mother Earth, and you let that dog, you let sleeping dogs lie, you keep it where it's at, but you also have a piece of you on that ground. Your blood has been shed on that ground, so you have equity on that ground, but you just let it stay there. And so now it acts as equity wherever you are. So you get to travel anywhere without being stopped if you maintain your equity. If you give away your equity by not recognizing that ground or not remembering that fetal maternal placental part of your travels, you're going to volunteer it away. And if you volunteer it away, you're going to need a license to cross that ground because you don't have a right of way anymore. You need a license. So again, when you understand the biology and what they're doing, they're saying, yeah, it's an either or proposition. It's all yours. Mom's biology is yours. Your part of your biology is on mom's. It's inextricably intertwined. That evidence is a deposit in a federal man's covenant with God system. So Mother Earth and God are still in harmony, unless they're not. The only way they're not in harmony is if you decide to try to separate them, church and state.
Wow.
This is pretty brilliant what they've done, as far as I can see. But that's why, to me, I mean, in the fourth paragraph, in the fourth paragraph, in the third paragraph, it says one's first in time pellucid membrane enveloped ARC membership proves absolute unity of dad's 23 chromosome sperm and mom's 23 chromosome ovum via 46 chromosome monozygotic maritime monarchy, a personal, private, original package of forensic data taken, held in reserve to prevent a mischief or remedy an inconvenience during the federal administration of justice. Where have you seen to prevent a mischief or remedy an inconvenience?
Stone's commentaries.
Blackstone, but it also is forensic data taken and held in reserve. That's the Federal Reserve. So they're using that as the equity to the right of way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It makes perfect sense. That's the eminent domain.
Yeah.
That
you're letting the sleeping dogs lie. You're not pulling it out. You're just going to say, hey, whatever. I don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to let them know it's mine, because otherwise it's going to be looked at as volunteering it away for the greater good. No, no, that's why I wrote the memoir.
Yeah.
Next, where is it? Oh yeah, you got the new one up there, don't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, thank God I told you where it was. Okay, so the next amendment, or I'm sorry, the commandment.
You give me access to something, I got it.
What's the next commandment? Let's get out of here.
No one's ever done this. No one's ever done this before, unless you have on your own.
I probably did it years ago, but thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Oh God, I hope I can do this. No, this is amazing. Okay, so look at this. The birth certificated person. Now we know it. We know that it's not for the baby. We know it's for something, not baby. And the only thing that's left is the extra embryonic material, the umbilical cord and the fetal maternal placenta. That's the human remains. Now, here's what's interesting. I'm going to get really, really specific here. If they can have no paper on baby, because that would be a document of slavery, would it not?
Yes.
Okay. If Curtis Richard Kallenbach is for the afterbirth, but they cannot have paper on baby, but the 46 chromosomes of baby is identical to the 46 chromosomes of the fetal biology, inextricably intertwined with the maternal in the placenta, then Curtis Richard Kallenbach, the birth certificated person, can only be for one thing. What is it?
The tertium quid.
No.
The land. the maternal ground.
Right, the maternal ground. It's only for the accretion because they cannot do it to the baby. They can't write the paper on the baby. So Curtis Richard Kallenbach, his deed is the deed to the promised land or the ground itself. It's not evidencing me. It's the deed. Although they want to confuse me with it by saying it's Curtis Richard Kallenbach. It does have, attributes of my biology. It's laying on there. It's, you know what I mean? It's part of me is on there, but I'm here. So am I really there? If I'm here, right here, can I still be on the placenta?
No.
No. So the birth certificated infancy or member church, the only thing it can be is the maternal part, the churchyard, the church ground, the church. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Of course, the churchyard is normally known as a cemetery, but it's the churchyard. If I'm the church, if I'm the temple, then it's the churchyard. So now it starts to make sense. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. So is Curtis Richard Kallenbach me?
No.
No. So this is where it gets weird. But I've adopted that character inadvertently. So now the idea of being a witness against thyself. Am I a witness against myself if I'm a witness against Curtis Richard Kallenbach?
No.
No. But also, is that my neighbor? If I am, if I have a hard time with this because I see my castle as being appurtenant to the land, not a neighbor. I mean, if I'm actually on the land as an appurtenance, whether it's a boat or a castle, that's an appurtenance. My castle on the ground is not the same thing as being a neighbor. But remember the puzzle pieces, they're all neighbors of each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's all part of the same ground. You know what I mean? It's all part of the same country. It's all part of the same earth. So this is where it says false witness against thy neighbor. What is that? Bear false witness. You have to look at 3 words there. False witness and bear, or even neighbor. You have to know all of those things. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Let's see what bear false witness says. But you can't, by the way, again, I can bring charges against Curtis Richard Kallenbach all day, can't I?
Yeah.
Because it's not me. But if I do bring charges against Curtis Richard Kallenbach, who are they going to come and get?
Yeah.
The collateral.
They're going to come and get me. Well, is collateral neighbor?
Damage. Yes.
If you look at it that way, if I'm collateral to something off to the side, would I be considered a neighbor?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So now I'm bringing false witness against thyself, or I can't because it's not even me, but I'm bringing it against my neighbor. Let me see what it says here. Bear false witness meaning. Let's just see what it says. I don't like to make shit up. I'd like to see evidence of it somewhere. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor is one of the 10 commandments. Who cares? What does it say? According to the biblical verses, false witness.
I'm thinking of the Lanham Act, of false designation of origin. That's what's coming to my mind.
That would fit, wouldn't it? Because false witness is, because remember the beginning, the conception is the beginning of one thing, which is not my beginning. So Curtis Richard Kallenbach is not the origin of me, even though I was led to believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
My origin's fertilization. So I think you could be right there because the Lanham Act is also being very, very specific. It's also saying dilution, which means it's not to be mixed together either. So it's almost like the Lanham Act is right here, right with this commandment. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so.
I've got a definition here: to give an untrue testimony, to lie.
Well, I mean, just even claiming that you are the ground. I mean, claiming that I am the ground, that is me. I mean, as stupid as it sounds,
Make it
it's
like
not true.
everybody in their system gives false witness no matter
I think
what.
because first of all, it's a lie by omission.
Hmm.
You know, because it's not the whole story. But the reality is it's not true anyway. You know, it's just not true. That's a really nice. I like that. To give an untrue testimony. That's the easiest way to look at it. And then the last, what is the 10th one? Well, that's communism in general. To want something that belongs to somebody else.
Hmm.
I mean, that's everybody. That's the whole infant thing. I mean, everybody's just, they think they should have it, so they go get it, they take it. Whatever, it doesn't matter, they take it. That's infancy. That's that whole mindset is, seeking the pleasure at whatever costs. But to covet, if it's not yours, if you haven't earned it, if it's in the public trust and you're, hell, the whole welfare state is coveting. They're taking shit that doesn't belong to them all day long. Communism, socialism, it's all coveting.
Inordinately, it says to desire what belongs to another inordinately or culpably, to feel inordinate desire for what belongs to another.
Well,
I'm curious.
how about this? What belongs to another? Are they going to say that the island itself belongs to mom?
Yeah.
And they're going to say, well, you're coveting what? No, you got to be careful, because if I have a right of way over it, now, do I have a right of way over what's yours?
No.
No. What do I have a right of way over the public?
No.
I mean,
well,
I mean, this is where, I mean, if I have equity, yes.
yes.
But the point is that it says what belongs to another. That's all you have to understand, is if it's not mine, what is the limits of my kingdom?
The pellucid membrane, your I amness,
Your biology, yeah.
My biology, my 46 chromosomes. If my 46 chromosomes begins at fertilization and it results in this body here, but this body produces things genetically, it produces it intellectually, it produces it audibly, it produces, I mean, all the stuff that this kingdom produces. Who's the owner?
You are.
I am 100%. So and is private property taxable?
No.
No. Well, if you're taking money from somebody through a tax, are you not coveting somebody else's money?
Yes.
Everything that doesn't belong to me. That's why I'm so adamant about knowing the limitation of your existence, which is your 46 chromosomes. If I only claim my 46 chromosomes and everything that 46 chromosomes produces, that's an easy claim, because it's so easy to prove. But I can't claim the island because I've never been there. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
But I can claim a right of way because mom invited me into her womb. Hell, she even sent me she enveloped me. She enveloped me. She carried me part of the way. Hell, almost the whole way. So a right of way is not the same thing as ownership. And the fact that I've never been to the island ever. I've never been on the island. I've never been to the island. I was in the womb, but I've never been to the island that they created, the fictitious island that they created through the birth record. I've never been there. Ever. But that's what they're saying, that I'm still stuck on that island, Yeah, I hate to say it, but
You just unpack the 10 Commandments.
well, I mean, I did an entire call once, I'm sure of it, years ago, and I went into some real detail on that stuff. But the 10 Commandments is all about trespass. If it's not mine, it's not mine. I don't have any claims upon anything that's not mine. I mean, even no matter how you read those things, it always comes back to the idea of, you know, what is and is not mine or godly. I mean, and of course, there's the difference too. Is I should leave it with this. Here's what people don't understand: is dead bodies don't have rights, ghosts don't have rights. So the moment a decedent estate is created, there's no ownership. That's what people don't understand. Is if they clamp and cut the umbilical cord and create a decedent estate with the human remains, the human remains has no right to property, because dead bodies can't own property and ghosts cannot own property. So the fact that there's a trust, the trust only exists because the implication is there's a decedent estate. So anybody that's out there talking to me about trusts, I don't need a trust. Living people do not need trusts. Kurt, we need a living trust. No, you don't. Again, that's the infant belief system, because you're trying to hold on to something that infants can't hold on to. If an infant exists, if a legal fiction exists, you do not. Now a trust is required. So as long as the infant is in play, then a trust is required. But if a living being from fertilization to last breath is still living, a living trust is a fiction. I don't need any fiction.
And that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Jeremy, save this thing and go to bed.
Are we doing the first Substack live next week?
I don't. I should be back in town. I'm heading to San Francisco Thursday.
Well, we don't have to pick a day quite yet.
Okay, so yeah, middle to late next week. Absolutely, let's do it.
Okay, so that'll be cool. That'll be cool.
All righty, man. Thanks, guys.
All right. Okay, guys.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everybody.
Go to the definition of I real quick. So I at Webster's goes through a whole. Let's just see what it says that makes sense. I, the ninth letter of the English alphabet, the graphic representation of a speech counterpart. Look at this. What's number 2 say? This is almost funny. What does number 2 say?
1.
There it is. I equals 1. I'm going to click on 1 just to see what it says. 1, being a single unit or thing, being one in particular, being preeminently. Preeminent. Look at what's the root word there? Eminent, as in eminent domain. What do you think when they take this property, when they take something through eminent domain? You got to really think who's making the claim. The sovereign's making the claim. So they're taking land or taking something through what they're calling eminent domain. Who has the eminent domain in your life?
I do.
I, the one. Even in the movie The Matrix, Neo, which means what? New? Or but the point is that when they say, well, you really believe he's the one? The whole man, the entirety of the kingdom. You really think he's the one? Well, that's what it is. I equals 1. If you keep going down, let's just see what it says here. 3B2 says being in agreement or union. Only. Number 5 says only. And look at this. 1 2 of 4 noun. What does number 1 say?
The first whole number above 0.
The first whole number above 0. So 99 pennies. Is that $1 yet?
No.
No, you have to have all. ALL. You have to have the entirety. You have to have everything. What's the first thing that represents the entirety of your kingdom?
The zygote
The
fertilization.
zygote. It's a singular thing. It's 1. It's the first whole number above 0. It doesn't mean things are happening, but look at, did the zygote exist 1 second prior to fertilization?
Did the
zygote
happen?
exist 1 second prior to fertilization, the moment of
No.
creation? No.
No.
Didn't exist at all. Well, Kurt, yes, it did. There was your dad's sperm and your mom's ovum. That's not me. The 23 chromosomes from my dad's sperm isn't me. I've made up of 46. By the way, is the 23 chromosome sperm, is it man?
No.
No, it's potential.
Yeah.
It has the biology necessary to create, but it's not a man. Oh, it's the serpent. Whatever.